So for this expression, I'm feeling like the expression is reading, but just not quite rayish. So it's kind of about like, is there a way to sort of get the feeling, but in a way that feels just a little bit more like him? So the first thing I'm kind of reacting to is the brows, and then kind of like this sort of shape on the upper lip, and then also sort of kind of the consistency of like the lower lip. So I would kind of expect a flatter upper lip that sort of flows a little bit more into the lower lip, where like the lower lip corner actually sort of flows into the upper lip corner, and then kind of getting brows that feel just a little bit. It's mainly just the screen left one, but feeling kind of a little bit longer. So this way you're kind of really feeling that furrow a little bit more. So this was an expression that I kind of first tried to find like a Ray version of. And like this feels like creepy, not like angry though. So it sort of feels more like, it's almost like a challenge kind of thing. So it's not quite there yet. Like it needs to be bigger and broader, but it is on model. So now I kind of have like a base. And like I know that my eye mask especially feels on model, but restricted. Like it doesn't feel anywhere near as pushed as it could go. But it'd be easy to sort of like push the mouth and kind of keep the eye mask where it is and at least kind of get a starting point. So again, kind of like we can see the difference in the brows. Anyway, so I kind of start with a base, like everything is neutral, on model, not pushed, not asymmetrical. And then I start pushing. So here I'm like, well, this is a little creepy. Can I make it creepier? And then I'm like, yeah, I can make it creepier. Because it's like, okay, like, because sometimes you're like, all right, I want him to look really aggressive, but you can't make it aggressive for some reason. So you're like, well, I can make it creepy. If I can make it creepy enough, maybe it'll work. So that was my first thought. I'm like, well, maybe I can make it creepy enough. So I sort of pushed the brows a little more angry. I pushed the eyes more open to sort of make him even more challenging, like, come at me. And then I made the mouth even thinner. And I widen it out even more, which feels a little more like, like it feels like not like a smile and more like you're baring your teeth kind of thing. So I kind of thought to myself, I'm like, okay, that's probably as creepy as I can make it. Like, let's try and go bigger with it. So first I kind of made the mouth bigger. And like, I'm like, all right, can I get an interesting sort of shape with the lips that still feels like a smile, but feels like an aggressive smile, like kind of, like almost kind of like getting something that feels sort of asymmetrical. So I tried to kind of build in a little bit of that wave while still sort of keeping the on-modelness of the straight mouth. And I made the teeth bigger, like I really showed the teeth because that immediately made him feel a lot more aggressive. And then I'm like, all right, I think I could make this even weirder, but I want to go in the other direction. Like, let's see what happens if I really narrow the eyes. Like now I've made the eyes the biggest I have. What happens if I really narrow them and like really kind of make a more angular smile? Something that's less big, like less like baring his teeth, but more tighter and more sort of sharp. Because sharp might feel more aggressive, like a sharper, like a triangular mouth shape might literally feel more stabby. So I tried kind of that. And this I actually think kind of works. And again, kind of going back to the on-modelness, it's not that pushed. I can still sort of see the on-model character in there. It just feels a little bit more exaggerated. So I'm like, okay, this is starting to get there. Now let's break it. So then I went for crazy eyes and even more sort of a wider but still angular smile. So it's like I made the eyes much bigger. I made the brows more angular. And I started to incorporate kind of more of those crow's feet and the wrinkles. Because this is an expression that I'm like, okay, making Ray ugly in because he's like really sort of, like he's really kind of dialing an expression up to 10. So the wrinkles, like I want wrinkles in there because I want him to look like he's really pushing his face and stretching his face. So this is kind of starting to just basically be like a bigger version of this. And then I started to go, no. And kind of once you get to here, you're like, okay, that's too much. This is kind of how I experiment.